This is the Hollywood Outsider, weekly entertainment podcast, where this week we're going to look at upcoming releases including Oblivion and Lords of Salem. We have reviews of Evil Dead, Erased, and Jurassic Park 3D. Our From the Outside In topic this week, horror movies. What's really scary and what's going too far? Latest in movie and TV news, including our own trivia segments. My name is Aaron Peterson. With me today are my fellow hosts, Justin McCumber.
How jealous were you when you got that picture of my Marvel Phase 1 complete box set with glowing Tesseract?
I was pretty jealous.
A little bit, yeah. I'm not gonna lie. It looked pretty sweet.
How would that cost you? Like $6,000?
Oh,
buck and a half.
120.
Holy hell!
What?
Nope.
120.
Somewhere 120.
It's 149. It's 149 on Amazon. Because I looked today.
Hey, hang on.
Maybe it was 150.
Now, for those that have no idea what you're talking about, Justin, why don't you explain what?
Why don't we finish introducing everybody? Scott Clark.
I'm Scott Clark. I like to explain things too much, apparently.
Yes. And Brian, I'm an old bastard Williams.
That's right. My last podcast in my 30s.
Aw. Dun, dun, dun. Now tell us more. Fuck, shut up. Let's hear more about the Tesseract.
I got your Tesseract right here, bitch.
Well, I think we talked about it a while ago because Marvel had shown pictures and said it was going to be for sale, but then the people who own the case that Marvel purchased for the film said they didn't purchase the rights for that case's image to be used in DVD sales. So apparently they got that all settled because it came in the mail. It's a pretty hefty sized case. I'd probably say it's 18 inches by 12 or so. There's a button on top of it that's
a mighty big package, Justin.
It's a big package, but when you're used to swinging a big package like I am,
It's got
really
the button
not,
on top. You know what I'm saying?
Button on top causes the shield emblem to glow. Then you open it up, and it's got the Tesseract that's glowing. All the discs are arrayed out beside that, and then in the top of it are some top secret documents that I haven't dove into yet, but I will be shortly.
If there's
Pretty sweet little setup.
If there's a geek cape, you should have it. I swear.
Oh yeah. It's awesome. I like it.
Is it a limited edition kind of thing? Like only X number made?
It says it is, but hell, limited could mean 1 million for all I know. It doesn't have a number on it. I do know that.
Well, I don't have quite that. But how jealous for you that my review of Evil Dead was posted on Bruce Campbell's website.
It's pretty swet.
That is pretty sweet. So for those of us that are like chomping at the bit, why don't you tell our listeners what the Bruce Campbell thing is all about?
I wrote a review for the Evil Dead movie, and Bruce Campbell retweeted it, and then his PR guy put it on his website. And there's only, I think, 8 or 10 total reviews out of like 50.
You were totally underselling this. If you go to Bruce Campbell's website, Aaron Peterson's review.
Marketing is not his forte.
Seriously. If you go to Bruce Campbell's website, Aaron Peterson's review of Evil Dead, which obviously Bruce Campbell starred in the original Evil Dead back from 1981.
And produced this one, yeah.
And produced this one. Aaron Peterson's review is the second one down on the main page of Bruce Campbell's website.
Of that review link. Not of the main page. Of the
let's
site.
not act like they're BFFs now.
Yeah. Bruce is coming over later. We're going to have cocktails. We're going to talk about what's next after Burn Notice.
I got the ego around here.
That's pretty cool. I don't care. You got to retweet.
Seriously, it made my year.
Campbell.
I could pretty much die right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to. Please, nobody kill me.
That's like
Trust me, I'd be fine with that.
That's like if Miyamoto
This is why he
retweeted
gets
me.
shit right here. This is why. This is the kind of support Brian gives. One last thing. My brother mentioned this, and I looked it up. It was actually pretty interesting. The Rock is so freaking badass that he tore his abs off the bone and suffered a hernia because of WrestleMania, and he's still refusing surgery until he actually films Hercules. Let's hop right into movie news. Anne Hathaway is in talks to join star Matthew McConaughey in Christopher Nolan's new flick Interstellar. Very little is known about the pick so far.
Yeah, not much is. It originally was started in 2006 when Steven Spielberg had seen and become intrigued by a Caltech physicist named Kip Thorne about his scientific theory about wormholes existing and being able to be used for time travel. After the heaping serving of shit I was given last week for trying to explain tungsten rods and all that, I'm not going to try and even explain what a wormhole is. You guys want to know? Look it up. There's Wikipedia. But as far as the movie goes, Spielberg wanted to film it and was going to, but it took too long. He backed out of it. But what he did do is while he was on the project, he hired Christopher Nolan's brother, Jonah, to write the story for it. And of course, once you get one Nolan on a film, you're bound to get another one. And sure enough, here comes Christopher Nolan to now film it. And apparently what he's done is he's merging that story with something he had already had. So it's going to be an original idea coming to the screen. I'm excited for it. Christopher Nolan is a directing genius. I can't wait to see what kind of far future science fiction film he can do. And having Anne Hathaway in it, that just sells it even more. I think she's a fantastic actress. And I don't know quite what the Lawbreaker is going to be doing in the far future, but I'm sure Aaron will slap on an accent and tell us when the movie comes out.
Oh, I will. I'm actually really impressed with McConaughey's choices lately, because he seems to try to be getting away from where he was doing a lot of formula films and basic plots. I mean, he's doing a lot of independent films. He's doing a lot of stuff that's more supporting roles. He's not really doing what he's been doing the last 10 years. So I'm really looking forward to that. And the fact that Chris Nolan's behind it.
Yeah, you pretty much got me sold to Chris Nolan. So.
Yeah. Sequel news. Everybody's wanting to know what Marlon Wayans is doing next. He's going to write and star in A Haunted House Part 2. And Kung Fu Panda 3, I didn't even know they were making a third one. Mads Mikkelsen, Rebel Wilson, and Bryan Cranston all signed up for it. Which one are you more excited about, Brian?
It's not even close. Kung Fu Panda 3.
Psh, hater.
Yeah, because Marlon Wayans whatever. Maybe I just don't get his highbrow humor.
Highbrow? Really?
Hey, all I know is he don't bring his bitch to the Waffle House.
Whatever. I could care less about Haunted House franchise, if you even want to call it that. So it's just not my cup of tea. So but I'm a big Mads Mikkelsen fan. I'll give anything that he's in a shot. Rebel Wilson is hilarious, and of course Bryan Cranston is just going to up anything. I mean, Mads Mikkelsen he's got an odd voice. I can see him being a villain. So I'd have to say, and it's also got the Kung Fu Panda's also got a lot of the original cast: Jack Black, Angelina Jolie. So
the thing I don't get, why would you do A Haunted House 2? Because I assume because of the title, it's going to have to be very similar to the first one.
Because it's going to make money.
No, I know, but Scary Movie 5 is already pretty much Haunted House 2. That's what I'm seeing.
Yeah,
I don't know what more can you do with it.
Does it matter? People are still going to go to the theater and watch it.
Wait till you see the sales
3,
numbers.
Though, sounds great. I love the first two.
Yeah. I would rather just kind of don't advertise who's in it. Just show me the pretty picture, show me the funny jokes and that kind of stuff, how beautifully it's shot, and then let me find out at the end of the movie that, wow, that's Robert Redford.
Look at you. All right, well, Scott, you can have some sports talk. This will make you excited.
All right.
Dennis Leary has now signed on as the coach for the Cleveland Browns, and Kevin Costner will be the general manager in the new film Draft Day, which is actually going to film some scenes during the upcoming NFL draft.
This story is really interesting to me because for the first time that I can remember, this is a story about the current NFL season. It's not a biopic or biopic, as Aaron likes to say.
I prefer biopic, thank you.
Biopic. When I first started reading into this a little bit, I thought it was going to be about real people, and to me that was really interesting. They're actually going a different approach and making it more fictional, making a fictional coach, fictional GM, that kind of thing.
Just explaining what the draft is like.
Right. And like Aaron said, they're actually using the upcoming draft, which is this month, April. We've never seen that in a movie, and I think that's really interesting. Also, I think Dennis Leary, he looks like a freaking football coach. He looks like a guy that I would imagine on the sidelines and having those kind of discussions with the players, that kind of thing. I'm looking forward to it. I think it looks good. Costner appears more like a GM than a coach. I think this sounds like a really interesting project. I want to see where it goes.
Is this going to be a drama? Is this going to be a comedy, or is it
It's
going
a
to be
drama. It's going to be a drama, yeah.
Because I mean, nothing says just outright hilarity when you talk about a sports movie.
About the Browns?
Cleveland.
Yeah.
So.
Well, they were probably the cheapest team to license.
That's kind of, I think the original.
That's part of it. Actually, they were supposed to be with the Buffalo Bills, but because the state of Ohio gave them some more tax credits and that kind of stuff, they said, well, we'll go with Cleveland.
They're trying to afford somebody in the actual draft is what they're doing.
Yeah, they're going to cater it in by McDonald's is going to do the catering. Yeah. More exciting news for Justin because he hates sports. Jim Carrey is taking his first full-on leading role in a comedy in years with Ricky Stenicki. It's written by Steve Odekirk, who also wrote Bruce Almighty and Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls. Hoping for the Jim Carrey of old?
I don't know if I am, and I'm actually kind of hoping that he doesn't just go back to the same sort of shtick that he had in the earlier part of his career. He's a better actor than that. And so I'm hoping that he'll bring something better, something newer, something more fresh and interesting to this one. The story in this one is an interesting one. It starts off at 20 years into the past when a group of kids get together and pull a prank that ends up burning a house down. And so when everybody comes to ask them, who did it, they think up this alibi of some fictional guy named Ricky Stenicki. And over the years, as these kids grow up, they continue to use that person as the fall guy for whatever kind of shenanigans they get up to. And now 20 years later, suddenly their girlfriends and wives are forcing them to, bring this Ricky Stenicki, let them meet him so they can prove that this guy's actually existing. And they hire an out-of-work actor to play the part. Originally, though, that role was going to James Franco back around the middle of 2010, but the actor eventually moved on. It took a while. Joaquin Phoenix was touted to be in the role. That didn't happen, obviously. But now Jim Carrey's doing it. Jim Carrey is, more than familiar with the Odenkirk. So hopefully that familiarity will breed some good stuff, and it'll be a fun movie. I just don't want to see Jim Carrey go the route of Adam Sandler and just keep playing the same bullshit of old
like
over and over
shows
again.
up and starts talking out of his ass, literally, again.
Pretty much.
I think
yeah.
Jim Carrey's more versatile than Adam Sandler.
Oh, he certainly is, but I think there's a nostalgia for some of the older Jim Carrey stuff, and maybe people might want to see that again. I'm not in that camp.
Oh, I wouldn't mind seeing another Ace Ventura movie. I don't care how sad
Ace
it
Ventura
is.
3 kind of sounds kind of cool. But.
No, it's just
Who else?
The guy's too old. I mean, it's not that he's too old. It's just I would like to think that we, as a culture, have maybe matured a little bit, where stupid shit that would have entertained us then isn't quite as funny. I don't know.
No, Steve Odekirk especially, man. That dude did Kung Pao, and that kind of humor will never get old to me. I love that kind of humor.
But he didn't do the first Ace Ventura.
No, he
Right.
did the bad one.
He did the shitty second one.
He did the bad one.
Fair enough.
The only thing funny in that movie was the Monopoly guy joke. That's. But who else wishes they had a Ricky Stenicki when they were in high school? Because I would have totally blamed some random dude for all the shit I did. That would have been fantastic.
Ricky Stenicki.
Whatever his name is. Billy Willie. I don't care. Just blame somebody else but me.
Billy Willie.
I wasn't very clever as a kid, and it hasn't changed.
All right.
I was a good kid who did what he was supposed to. So
Yeah, I was too.
I didn't
How
need
that-
a full guy.
Yeah. Now you're all pent up and writing all angst, and Scott's over here just waiting to kill someone.
Yeah.
Scotty had Jeebus, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jeepus. Luke Evans, the villain from Fast and Furious 6, has landed his first leading role in Dracula, which explains the origin of Dracula.
Wasn't this called Dracula Year Zero?
It was. They changed the title to Dracula.
Yeah, this guy's his proverbial star is rising here. He's in the Fast and Furious movie coming out this year. He's also in the next couple of Hobbit movies. Let's see, what was it? He was in The Raven, The Immortals.
Oh, he's in the... Who's he playing in The Hobbit? Part 2 or whatever. Desolation of Smog.
Bard the Bowman.
Oh, is he?
Oh, yeah, he's one of the humans in the town near the
Okay.
dragon.
There you go. So
Dragonville? We'll call it Dragonville.
He's one of these guys. His star is rising, and you kind of look at a couple of pictures of him. I think you can see him fairly easily playing a vampire, type of role. So
It's important to note that Universal is actually... This is them resurrecting their Dracula property. Like the Universal monster property.
Resurrecting?
Well...
A little undead?
yeah, I mean, it's just part of the trend here where they're doing a lot of those Mummy, Frankenstein movies. So, welcome to Brian's Trailer Park. 2154 in a place called Elysium. We've stomped out sickness, poverty, and war. Unfortunately, the vast majority of the population live on Earth, and it sucks. Earth's an overpopulated, dirty cesspool, kind of like Jersey. And in the ultimate class warfare struggle, it's up to Matt Damon to infiltrate the utopian space station.
Matt Damon.
the Matt Damon to merge the two classes together. So Justin is our residential sci-fi geek. So what I'm going to do is pass this over to Scott.
Way to
Did you
shake
see
it
the
up.
English he put on that?
Oh. Nice job, Lucy.
Scott, are you excited about this one?
I am, but I can't. Every time I see Matt Damon in this trailer, I can't help but wish that he's going to bust out into Scotty Doesn't Know a little bit.
Because he's bald?
From Eurotrip. The trailer looks gorgeous. The CG looks great. From the trailer, I have no idea what this is. What the story is, what's going on, other than a post-apocalyptic, which I'm a sucker for generally. I have no idea what's going on. Why does he want this to go to this place? Why does he need this robot? Why? I don't know. And granted that I don't want them to tell me the whole story, but get me into this movie a little bit more than other than just pretty special effects.
I actually think Justin agrees with you.
Yeah, that's what I said on, I don't remember if it was Facebook or where, but the trailer looks nice. And it's like they're trying to give you a little bit of the story, but the things they focus on need a little more context than what the trailer gives. And I'm like, Scotty, I don't want you to divulge every little thing about the movie. I hate when they do, but don't do the opposite and then hand me a bunch of stuff that has absolutely no context to it. The whole thrust of the film is that he needs to get to Elysium for some purpose. We have no idea what that purpose is. We don't know what the stakes are, what his motivations are, but it does look fantastic, and I certainly trust Blomkamp to make an interesting, beautiful, and provocative film. So, I mean, I'm in no matter what. I just wish the trailer had a little more of what the story is about. But, you know, what are you going to do? I'm at the point now where I'll see the first trailer that gets released on any movie, and then I don't want to see any more because I've had far too many movies have their impact lessened a little because I went into it knowing far too much.
Mm-hmm. Same thing. The War of the Classes, I like that aspect. I do like, obviously rich people are in space and they have their own little special space station. Poor people live on Earth. I get it. I don't understand why they don't just clean up Earth while they're here, but hey, whatever. But I know what happens. I know what the story's about, and I'm really disappointed because I don't think anyone that doesn't know from reading articles and whatnot will have any idea, like Justin said. I just don't think they did it well enough. Mm-hmm. Great looking. Looks beautiful. Just, it's one of those cases where this time, not enough. Usually they give you too much. This is not enough.
Mm-hmm. Well, so knowing what you know, because I don't know anything more than what I watched on the trailer. Mm-hmm. I haven't read any articles, done any research on it, nothing. Mm-hmm. A lot of this shit I talk about on here.
I think once you know, and I'm not gonna say because if people want to know, you can easily find it on the internet. I don't want to be the one that ruins it, and just in case the filmmakers are trying to keep that from you.
Right. But what I'm asking is, do you think that when those of us that don't know much else about it other than the trailer, do you think we'll be pleasantly surprised or kind of?
I think once you realize what his ultimate reasoning is, it makes total sense, and actually this trailer will make a lot more sense.
It's not about a girl, is it?
I'm not. You just move on.
All right. Anyway,
no, it's not about a girl.
He got to get his bitch to the Waffle Hut, and she's up there.
Justin loves the Waffle Hut.
I do love. God, that's so funny. The way he said that. I got to make that my ringtone.
We have a message from Stephen W. Who said Elysium looks really cool. He loves District 9, and he wishes the Halo movie he was supposed to make had not fallen through. That would have been a great movie.
You and me too, brother.
Yeah.
Oh, lost opportunity.
I actually, not to name drop, have actually met Neil Blomkamp when I went to a screening of District 9. Mm-hmm. He's a really interesting filmmaker. Not just a guy, filmmaker, because he seems to love the movies that he does. As opposed to some filmmakers that just seem like it's a job. I mean, he seems to only do stuff that really touches him. So you're welcome.
And the award for the most spoilers ever given away in a trailer goes to our next movie. The remake of the Stephen King classic stars Chloe Grace Moretz as the titular Carrie.
Titular?
I didn't want to say her and then go with the word tit. So, so anyway, y'all corrected me. Titular Carrie. And Sissy Spacek as her overzealous religious mother, otherwise known as Scott's mom.
Julianne Moore.
It's Julianne
You're
Moore.
flashing back to the old movie.
I am.
Scott's mom, though. Nice. I see what you did there.
I mean, Julianne Moore is the role that was played by Sissy Spacek in the original.
There you go.
Oh,
Justin's Trailer Park.
Anyway, Justin, what you think about this one?
I'm really kind of torn because, like you said, this trailer is chock a block with spoilers. And on the one hand, that really annoys me because I know that there are a lot of people out there who never saw the original film, maybe didn't even know that it existed, nor have they read the story. And so if you're one of those people and you watch this, you know exactly where this movie is going to. For people like me, though, who have seen the original, who knows exactly where it's going, I kind of liked that they, instead of shying away from all the stuff that needs to be hidden for people who haven't seen it, they kind of showed me this is what you're going to be in for. This is the ride. And in that, from looking at it in that perspective, I liked it. I loved everything that I saw. It looks fantastic, bloody, unrelenting. I really cannot wait to see this.
I got to say that I don't understand the arguments about this trailer giving away too much information and that kind of thing.
I think it shows the entire movie.
And I agree with you on that. And that was my first inclination when I watched it. It's like, wow, it tells the whole story and tells you pretty much every piece of detail. I went back literally a couple hours before recording tonight. I went back and watched the original trailer from 1976. Mm-hmm. And that trailer, number one, does the exact same thing.
Yeah, it's even got some of the same lines in it.
Same lines, same... But that trailer also makes 1976 movie look way more cheesier than I remember that movie being. Number one.
Okay.
Number two, they showed the same stuff in that. That
doesn't change the fact that it gives away too much of the movie. It just means that they did the same thing 30 years ago, but they still showed too much of the movie in this one. Seriously, almost the whole ending's in the trailer.
What is it? Those who ignore history are doomed to repeat.
My point is that the parts of that movie, I think it's more of a difficult task to make a trailer for that movie that's going to sell people that don't know the original Carrie movie on seeing this movie. The interesting parts of the story of Carrie are the climactic, bloody stuff that happens in the last quarter of that movie, after the climax of that movie. And anything before that is not going to sell anybody currently on that story that doesn't know the original story.
That may be true.
I don't agree with that.
I kind of love the book, and pretty much I know the actual psychological impact that she goes through is more interesting to me. Personally.
To me, yes. I'm talking about people that want to go out, that are going to go out and buy tickets.
I think that with the other scenes they showed of her using her ability, and perhaps with some really quick flashes of some blood and fire, you could have still built up that this film is going to have an amazing finale without giving them every drip of that blood falling onto her and what followed. But that said, I think they just figure people know what this movie's about. Let's assure them that it's going to kick some ass.
Mm-hmm. I will say I wish they didn't show the car scene in the trailer.
Aaron,
because that kind of shit's a better shock.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron, what was the movie recently that had you pretty much knew or at least probably 60% of the movie, but they threw in some kind of science fiction elements later on. Like all of a sudden, it was just like all of a sudden you're like, oh wow, I kind of knew this movie was about this, but all of a sudden there's like aliens and shit involved or telekinesis or something. Looper, that's right, Looper. You could do something. I mean, you're
doing like the blockbuster thing. Hey, if you take what was that movie with that guy I saw with that one?
It's just thinking out loud.
How'd you get Looper out of that?
You got that Southern connection again.
Apparently,
it does. They both. Never mind.
That Mason-Dixon telepathy.
That's right. It all stays below a certain latitude.
But what about Looper?
The point is that they showed you a trailer that you pretty much knew the plot of the movie. Mm-hmm. But there was a very large element of that movie that was ignored in the trailer. They could do that with Carrie.
That's true. If you actually read the book, correct me if I'm wrong, Justin, but the ending is much more dramatic than the ending in the original movie. And I think they're supposed to be going for that, and that wasn't really in the trailer. You kind of get a glimpse of it in the teaser, but you don't get it.
Tiny little bit.
Yeah, I think just the previous film was restricted by the time and what effects they had.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I'm on board. I'll be there opening night. I can't wait for this movie.
Oh, yeah.
I can wait. But anyway, You've got to till October 18th because that's when it comes out.
I'm going to have to wait, apparently.
And also, D.A. Channing wrote in, Elysium looks really good. I'm kind of tired of Carrie remakes. In the end, it's just a story about a girl who's bullied and she loses it. We see a lot of that in the news lately, so it's not really a fresh idea, nor one I welcome much at this point. Tired of bullies in general lately, but who knows?
Wait a minute.
I'm not up for it now, but we'll see.
Wait a minute. That's like the opposite of a bully. Obviously, they bully her, but it's her getting back on those bullies the way that we all kind of hope
she's
and
saying
dream
she's
that we
tired of hearing bullied stories because it's been in the news, it's been in the movie. I mean, she's just tired of bullies in general. She's not saying I don't like bullies or I don't know what the hell you're saying, but I get what her point is. It's been all over the news constantly for months. Bullies.
Maybe they just could have twisted this into like Chronicle 2. Anyway.
Fantastic.
Well, again, October 18th is when Carrie comes out. And you can watch these trailers and those from recent episodes at thehollywoodoutsider.com. If you got any thoughts, topic ideas you want us to talk about, let us know on the website. Let us know on Facebook.com/thehollywoodoutsider. Twitter, tweet us at H_outsider. Get your I'm a Ho t-shirts, which I wore to the movies last night, by the way.
Did you?
Yep. Me and the wife both. We geeked out.
Oh, your wife wore her I'm a Ho shirt?
Yep.
Nice. And you sat probably next to her. Anybody ask you about it? Like, what the hell's that?
No, but I got some looks. Especially when I was standing there by myself in kind of the foyer area. That was some long looks. Nobody asked, but I think they were scared.
Nobody threw a 20 your way?
No.
If you're looking for a date?
We got to ask for a three-way, I'm just saying.
You got plans later? Don't forget, you can also email us at feedback@thehollywoodoutsider.com. That's it.
Michael B., he asked, have you guys talked about this trailer, Mortal Instruments City of Bones? We did a while back. I purposely have not watched any of the Twilight movies, but this YA book to film looks interesting, very Blade-ish. Have you guys seen the new version of it?
No, I'm not watching trailers after the first one anymore.
Gotcha.
That's my new policy to go along with the TV one.
I'm kind of a fan of that policy.
Justin gets more interesting as the weeks go on, people.
I'm an onion, man. I got layers.
Let's go to Stump the...
everybody bad breath.
That's right.
Stump the
I'll make everybody cry.
Oh, my God. You two will just go forever. Each week, one of our hosts...
I'm telling you, Hollywood Outcasts.
God damn it. Sons of bitches.
We get rid of this other dead weight.
Each week, one of our hosts poses a trivia question. The remaining hosts attempt to stump their fellow hosts, as well as you listening. This week, it's Brian's turn. Brian, what is your question?
All right. Speaking of Carrie, who had their first big screen role in the 1976 original version of Carrie?
John Travolta.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. John Travolta. Is that one of the options?
Yeah, you fucking cocksuckers.
Justin, do you want to guess?
Justin, you want to go through the rest of the list, Justin? Or,
I'm going to say William Catt.
Hey, that's correct too.
Wow.
Well, hey, for once we didn't have to do multiple choice. Congratulations.
All right, there we go. Moving on.
Let's go to the. That was almost better than your box. Let's go to the big screen. We're review new releases. The first one up is Evil Dead, and we all saw it. So, real quick, here's what the story is. Evil Dead's a remake of the classic 1981 film. There's a lot of critics saying it's from 1983. They are wrong. It was originally directed by Sam Raimi and starring B-movie icon Bruce Campbell, who we talked about earlier. This time around...
You mean Aaron's BFF, Bruce Campbell,
Exactly.
right?
I'm sorry. Starring B-movie icon, my friend Bruce. This time around, those two produce, but newcomer Fede Alvarez, you're welcome, takes over directing duties with a different story. This one's about Mia. Mia's a heroin addict. She's, poor thing. Her brother David and a bunch of their friends decide the best way to clean her up is to drag her ash to their rundown cabin in the woods. Once they get there, they find the Book of the Dead. It's never referred to as the Necronomicon that I caught, hidden in the cellar. Once idiot Eric unwittingly reads from the book, people start getting possessed, evil shit starts happening, and many a limb start falling off. Now, Justin, when it comes to deep storytelling, this well is about an inch thick. What did you think of the new take on the Evil Dead myth? It's not a big twist, but it's a little bit of a twist.
Well, it certainly had more story than the first film had. I mean, in the original Evil Dead, didn't they just go out there to have a good time?
Yeah, pretty much.
And that was the entire reason these people showed up at this cabin. I liked that they gave some reason for why they're there. I like that there was some reasoning for why people would ignore her erratic behavior after the evil is unleashed. And so there was some plausibility in areas that this film had that the previous film, didn't have.
And it gave a plausible reason why they wouldn't buy it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So while there were some other areas of the story where I'm like, if I saw that shit, I am swimming across that river to get the fuck out of Dodge, that these people are more like, well, just wait. No. But all in all, I thought they did a pretty good job by giving this one just enough story to hang these scares on. And the ending of it actually really surprised me where they went with it.
I mean, it's not an original story. You mentioned that already. It was how'd you say it? Inch deep or whatever. It's campy even by 80s standards, technically. I mean, what Justin said, where they kind of take they take a different turn on it to make it a little bit more interesting. I liked, but at the end of the day, it's
bunch of people getting demonized in the woods.
Yeah, I mean, this movie wasn't made for its good story. This is made for its let's reminisce about
visceral thrills.
There
is
you
what
go.
I would
It's a
call
good way
it.
to put it. So.
Do you guys wish they would have done a little bit more of the psychological taunts? That's the only thing I would say, me personally, it was missing in the story was the film. The film definitely relies a lot on 80s gore, practical effects, things like that. Very, very intense thrills. Whereas the original did the same thing, very, very bloody, very etc. But there's a lot of taunting. There was a lot of messing with the characters' heads as part of the story. Do you guys remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I mean, there were some moments where there was some psychological manipulation going on. There's only so many times you can try and scare someone with "I'll swallow your soul" before you can dip down into something that really is going to push their button or anger them. And I liked when they went there. I agree. They could have gone there a little more often, but shit, you've got only so many minutes and so many scares.
Right.
Did you guys catch the joke with the names?
No, I didn't.
David, Eric, Mia, Olivia, Natalie.
Oh, nice. I did not catch that.
Demon. What?
Oh.
You still didn't catch it even after I said them, huh? And you're the smart one. You're the smart one. All right. What'd you guys think about the acting?
I was actually surprised at how well this movie was acted. I thought that was one of the strong points of the film. A lot of non-familiar actors, nobody that at least I recognized. And I really kind of hope to see these people in more movies later on, especially the girl, Jane Levy, if I pronounced it correctly, that played Mia. She was very believable in how frightened she was and disturbed she felt after seeing what she experienced in the woods. One of the best, quote, "I'm truly scared" performances I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, she did a great job. I thought the guy who played her brother, of all of them, was probably my least favorite.
Agreed.
Thank you. Of them. The guy's really just kind of a douche, the character in general, which didn't help any. But yeah, all in all, they all did really good jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Am I the only one that thought that every time I saw Mia, I saw Robin Tunney?
Yep, a little bit.
A little bit. Yeah, I guess I could see that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, to me that's kind of who I saw, especially some of her earlier roles there. Yeah, I really didn't like the guy that played her brother. I don't know if it was so much his acting or if it was the way the character was written, but just dumb. Dumb.
He's very, very serious. And it's just very, very serious. I thought Jane Levy, or Levy, however you want to say it, she was very good. I like the fact that she had to run through a lot of various characters in the movie, so she impressed the hell out of me. I really like Jessica Lucas, who played Olivia. Mm-hmm. She gets bashed a lot by a lot of the critics I've read. I personally, she was the one character I really cared about.
Was she the one with the
doctor.
Medical experience,
yes,
the doctor?
The nurse, yes. I think outside of Mia and, my opinion, Olivia, the rest of them can kind of be like victim 3, victim 4, victim... that's pretty much how you can just label people. But
Right.
Now, Brian, Alvarez decided to go the 80s gore route with almost exclusively practical effects. Did that work for you?
Yeah, I think so. It was definitely, I think when you said visceral, that's kind of a good word for it. I thought some of the shots were probably a bit long. Like there's a certain scene with a tongue and a knife that I felt carried on probably a little bit longer, which really intensifies, I guess, the gore of it. But
way to not spoil it.
Well, how they show that in the fucking trailer.
That's in the trailer.
Yeah. So it goes on for a lot longer than in the trailer. So it's, by the time you're like, oh man, that's gross. And you expect the film, the scene to be cut.
I see what you're saying. It held
something else. It's like, it just keeps going, and it just makes that intensity level, it just kind of raises that level a little bit. Overall, I mean, the look and feel of it, I liked. I liked the foggy feeling that you were kind of closed in this small area. There are some natural disasters that kind of prevent them from leaving. Sometimes the CGI stuff is just a little too, kind of takes you out of the moment a little bit. But
I like that they lingered on some of those shots, though, because in most horror films, it seems like filmmakers they think fast cutting is better. Like they just want to show you 5 different shots in a couple of seconds as opposed to one lingering shot, as though those 5 shots make it better, or maybe some kind of a disorientation factor helps. And for me, it never really does. I like a good sustained shot, especially in a film that's showing someone cutting off limbs or cutting into their body. When you cut away, pardon the pun, cut away so quickly, it takes away some of that visceralness, because you assume that the reason they cut away is because, well, I reached the end of that prosthetic or some other kind of physical limitation stopped them from carrying on. But in this one, you don't get that. They linger, and you get to kind of bathe in the blood of that moment much more. And for me, that really worked like gangbusters, because it just ratchets up the tension. Something fierce.
How do you guys think it handles as a remake? A lot of people are saying that, well, it doesn't live up to the original. The original either is laughably bad or is a modern classic. Now, I personally think in 1981, it was fucking horrifying.
Yeah,
now,
where they're getting this joke shit from.
Yeah,
the second one's got some funny. Army of Darkness has got a lot of funny.
Yeah, there's no jokes in the first movie.
No, in the original Evil Dead,
but it doesn't hold up very well. No. And I think that's where a lot of the quote unquote jokes are coming from. It
doesn't hold up.
I think that the original Sam Raimi did some very interesting things with his camera work in the first one.
Absolutely.
That I think that the director, and his name escapes me, remind me?
Fede Alvarez.
He kind of almost paid homage to some of the stuff that he did by doing the same stuff he did, but in a little bit different way. Like some of the cameras.
I don't think he really the only thing I saw that was reminiscent of Raimi shots was the camera in the woods, and that was not really the way Raimi did it at all.
Well, he did. I think Raimi did it more interesting, honestly.
He did,
but I think that Alvarez was just doing it as more of a respect thing. Like, I'm not just going to straight up copy.
I think you have to have that shot in there.
That's what I'm saying. Against the Evil Dead movie, you have to have that. I remember Raimi doing a little more twisting of the camera kind of thing, a little bit more, that I thought was really interesting.
Raimi did a very interesting way of cutting it, so it actually felt like the evil was there. Where the way this is, it kind of just feels like it's roaming aimlessly. Mm-hmm. I think in the original, it really felt like it was creeping up on people, and he cut it I think he cut it very well, especially for 1981.
Mm-hmm. Well, and in the original Evil Dead, the way he used the cameras and the props and the set, you almost felt like the cabin itself was possessed, and that it was, in its own way, an antagonist in the film. Whereas in this one, the cabin isn't what you're scared of; it's the people who are inside of it. But as a remake, I thoroughly enjoyed this. It had some amazing gore, just enough story to hang it all on. Some performances that really surprised me, and I'm so glad that the ending was not what I was expecting.
Mm-hmm. So what's your verdict, Justin?
If we're going 1 out of 10, I'll give it an easy 8. Maybe on a good day I'd go an 8.5. But it was the only thing, and it's not the film's fault, but the only thing that detracted from it is the fact that I had seen a couple of trailers. And in those trailers, so many of the really powerful moments in this movie I already saw. Mm-hmm. So when I saw them in the movie, they didn't have that gut punch feeling of, oh my God, I can't believe they're doing that, because I was kind of waiting for them to do that. It's not the fault of the film, but it's the fault of the film distributors and makers. Mm-hmm. I give it an 8. I thought it was really, really well done. The demons looked fantastic.
And Scotty?
I really appreciated the acting and production of this movie. It's not a movie that's made for me. I don't worship the original like you did, because I didn't come into it till I was later in life. And I'm not usually a squeamish person, but there was many scenes in this that were just too much for me. It's nothing that I'm going to watch again, personally.
Oh, the electric knife. Oh, my God.
I give it a 6.50 out of 10.
Oh, my God.
And Brian?
Yeah, I'll never look at a hypodermic needle in the same way ever again. Yeah, I think overall I give it a strong 7.5. I don't elevate the original to sanctity levels that maybe some of us do. I enjoyed it 30 years ago, and appreciate it. But it just was like, it was scary, and then I kind of moved on. I did enjoy it a lot. Very disturbing. So strong 7.5.
Personally, it didn't betray one of my horror favorites, and Alvarez made it his own. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. I've seen it twice, and I still love it. I give the film a 9 out of 10. And Ashley on Facebook also, she said someone brought a 6-year-old to her showing of Evil Dead. Not okay. No, I absolutely agree with that, but my mom took me to horror movies when I was 7, so I can't really knock it either. She said she loved
what it did to you.
Exactly. She said she loved the movie, though. Christopher E. also said, very well done reimagination, and he's already seen it twice. Justin, you saw Jurassic Park 3D. What's up?
Yeah, I saw it today. It was Jurassic Park. I mean, I saw the original when it was in theaters. It was fun to be able to go back to a theater and see it on a nice big screen again. The 3D was really well done for the most part. There were a few scenes where items or people in the foreground and the background were both in focus. And so in that 3D kind of effect where the depth of field should say one of those two, both of those things can't be in focus at the same time and kind of threw me off a little bit. But all in all, they did a really good job of carrying the old one through, giving it a little fresh paint. Really enjoyed it.
Now, is that really all it was? Just a 3D reissue? That's really all it is. There's nothing added to it. There's no special 20-year extra this or that.
No, I mean, it's the original film you saw, just post effects of the 3D. It still looks fantastic. I mean, now seeing it on the bigger screen, there are a few scenes where the CGI dinosaurs look a little flatter than I remember, but still it looks believable, looks good. I've really enjoyed seeing it again.
What were you going to say, Scott?
I was going to say, I don't know if it's fair to say that because we've been talking about for weeks about how that movie still holds up, and that movie's from the 90s, right? Mm-hmm. Late 90s? Mm-hmm. 96, was it?
93.
Wow.
20
Early
years.
90s. So to say that well, it's like how I remember it, 20 years ago, your perception is way different than what it is now. That
right.
What looked flat then, or what looked amazing then, looks flat now. Mm-hmm. So is that really a fair comparison?
Well, how else am I supposed to look at
No,
it?
I understand, but I'm saying it's the same thing we have with like Indiana Jones and with Top Gun. Like you kind of see it how you remember it, just with a little bit of a tweak.
Nostalgia glasses.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is one of those movies where I still watch it and I think it holds up. Not just because I loved it as like I can admit, Evil Dead does not hold up. There's a lot of other movies that don't hold up. I think Jurassic Park holds up. The effects hold up.
I totally agree. Yeah. And that's what I was curious about is how the 3D actually adds to the movie experience with dinosaurs all up in your grill.
Yeah, it does. I mean, the 3D, since it wasn't filmed for it, they obviously didn't put in a whole bunch of shots that really would have worked to 3D's benefit. But there was certainly enough going on and things running around and palm fronds slapping you in the face that it was worthy of being 3D-ified.
Fair enough. So what did you give it out of 10?
I give it a good 8.5. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's still a fantastic story. It's still really fun, though it is painful to see scenes with, the old Unix interfaces, the old Mac computer screens, and just, it's like, the resolution is what, 200 by 300? Jesus Christ. So those are almost the more painful things to watch than old special effects. But
you got to see Sam Jackson, though.
Oh, yeah, hold on to your butts.
Doesn't he have hair?
A little bit.
Uh-huh.
I love how he says, I give it a good 8.5. That's a pretty good score.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Well, it's a fantastic film. I mean, Jurassic Park is a classic for a reason.
Mm-hmm. And I saw Erased. Now, that's a movie that actually doesn't come out until the theaters until May 17th. Aaron Eckhart stars as Ben Logan. He's an ex-CIA operative, aren't they all? Whose company somehow gets involved where it shouldn't, and the entire employee force is marked for termination. All of them. So he basically comes back to work one day, and they're all gone. He, of course, was tending to his teenage daughter, so when he realizes his life and work friends have been erased, they both travel to Belgium trying to find out what happened. Olga Kurylenko, also, I can't say that right, also stars as a former friend of Logan's, or is she? When I first saw the trailer, I thought this was going to be like Taken for DVD. I thought it was a really bad Taken movie. Apparently it's not, and it's going to get a theatrical release, which is great for that. The story seemed at first very generic to me, with the only appealing thing being Aaron Eckhart in an action role, which I've never seen, but he actually handled it really well. It's not like a Liam Neeson action role. It's just more a man where action comes into play, the actual story. He's not seeking it out. He's not going left and right kicking ass. I mean, it's very random. There's two things. One, he doesn't spend the film trying to save his daughter, which the trailer would make you think. She's with him almost the entire movie. And two, he isn't an indestructible killing machine. Almost every single fight that he's in feels like he could actually die. And his daughter's never safe because she's always with him. And she actually, she takes some collateral damage here and there. So I like that aspect of it, the fact that the movie didn't just make both of these people impervious to pain and you thought the entire movie, well, they're going to live to the end, because there's actually a couple scenes I wasn't sure. I really liked their relationship. His daughter's played by Liana Liberto. She plays his daughter Amy, does a very nice job. Seems like a real teenager, not like the normal stereotypes we get in these kind of movies. The movie's directed by Philip Stolz, and it's much more of a thriller with action elements than just like some ripoff of Taken. The Belgium locale actually plays into the film, so it doesn't just come across as some cheaper location to film the movie. But it's not one I would probably watch again. There's enough clever twists to make it worth a look at a matinee or a DVD. So if $10 is the full price of admission, I'd give a race $5.50. Now let's go to box office. Evil Dead made $25.7 million their opening weekend. That's more than all three of the original films made in total combined.
That's nuts.
I mean, even adjusted, it'll end up making more than all three of those films combined. So that's pretty impressive. They did a great job marketing the movie.
What was its budget?
$17 million.
Okay.
So it's low budget, but it's not micro budget like the original one.
Yeah, but look at percentage-wise. I mean, it's already over budget its first weekend.
Well, advertising and stuff. I mean, it's still going to make a little bit, but it'll break even. So they're going to make a sequel. They're already talking about it. G.I. Joe Retaliation, $20.8 million, so it's up to $86.4. It's not that great, but overseas it's huge. So they're going to make the G.I. Joe 3 like we talked about last week. The Croods, still in third place, $20.6 million, $125 million total.
That movie looks so dumb.
It's so huge overseas, and Nick Cage is so happy that he's still got, he's making some money. He needs some money.
Looks so dumb.
Jurassic Park 3D, $18.6 million. Congratulations.
Yeah.
People want to be nostalgic. And Olympus Has Fallen, still in the top 5. $10.1 million. It's made $71 million. They say it'll probably top out about 90. Way bigger than Die Hard.
Still falling.
Yeah.
All right, well, whew. Luckily this week, we've had the past several with 4, 5 films. This time, we just got 2. That's so nice. Both of them are going to be opening up on April 19th. The first one is Lords of Salem. Now, this is a horror film written, produced, and directed by Rob Zombie, and starring his wife, Sherry Moon Zombie. His novelization of the film was actually released back on March 12th. And I think he's going to be at the horror convention here in Dallas next month signing the book. And my brother and I are going to be going. So I may see about getting a signed copy of the book. But anyway, Heidi, who's played by his wife, is a DJ at a local radio station. And together with the two Hermans, Whitey and Munster, they form part of the Big H radio team. A mysterious wooden box containing a vinyl record arrives for Heidi, quote-unquote, a gift from the Lords. She assumes it's a rock band on a mission to spread the word. As Heidi and Whitey play the Lord's record, it starts to play backward, and Heidi experiences a flashback to a past trauma. The arrival of another wooden box from the Lords presents the Big H team with free tickets, posters, and records to host a gig in Salem. Soon Heidi and her cohorts find that the gig is far from the rock spectacle they're expecting. The original Lords of Salem are returning, and they're out for blood. Brian, if I'm remembering correctly, the motorcycle gang that you formed back during your hellion youth was called the Lords of Salem, though I believe y'all named it after the menthol cigarettes. Are you going to go see this, or are you going to serve Rob Zombie with a cease and desist order?
Yeah, that was the name of it. We had it all over the back of our big wheels.
Our big wheels.
So
With the candy cigarettes rolled up in your sleeves?
exactly.
Hey, I did that as a kid. Don't knock that shit.
I did too. That's how I learned to smoke.
No, I love Rob Zombie's movies. They don't lend to
Really?
a whole lot of rewatchability, but I love House of a Thousand Corpses, and I just thought that they just freaked me out. So I like them a lot. Now, I'm probably more inclined to go see the other movie on your list, but just because it does lend more to a better experience at the theater. But I'm definitely after making my wife go see The Evil Dead, I'm probably not going to convince her to see this one. So I may have to go see this one, check this out by myself one day.
I think that story sounds absolutely asinine, personally. And Rob Zombie, Devil's Rejects, love Devil Rejects. I think it's a fantastic movie. I've said this before. That's a great movie. I don't know what happened to him outside of that, but everything else he's done, I thought, has been absolute shit. Halloween 2, shit.
Yeah, I don't count those.
They're his movies. They count. House of a Thousand Corpses, I didn't like. I didn't think it was shit, but it's not good. I think he's got 1 out of 4, however many. If he's got more movies, they all suck. I don't know. I have no desire to see anything he does. I think they should just take his camera away. That's my opinion.
I haven't seen Devil's Rejects, but I've seen most of the others. I'm not personally impressed with his track record. Like I mentioned in my review of Evil Dead, this kind of movie isn't for me. I'd rather a movie disturb me.
Reminds you too much of your childhood?
A little bit. I'd rather a movie disturb me in a different way than in the shock factor way. You know, like something psychological or something that's more real to life, kind of messed up terror. This is just messed up for the sake of being messed up, and that's not my style of movie.
I'm open to any kind of horror that, all different kinds, just not Rob Zombie kind.
All right. Well, how about this? Will this get you in the theater?
Absolutely not.
It's produced
Zac
by
Efron?
It's one of the producers is Oren Peli.
There's nothing you could do to get me into the theater to see a Rob Zombie movie again. Never. There's just no way you could do it. I wish I could. And stop casting your wife. There's other actresses that can actually act. You stupid.
I would agree with you wholeheartedly on that. I mean, obviously she can't get a job anywhere else, but
I've never seen a Rob Zombie film. None of them have looked interesting to me at all. This one doesn't look to change that trend, especially his wife, who looks just deplorable as an actress in the trailer. So, yeah, this one, I doubt I will ever see this film. But there's good at the end of this tunnel. Oblivion. Oblivion's a science fiction film co-written, produced, and directed by Jason Kaczynski and based on his unpublished graphic novel of the same name. That was put out by Radical Comics, or will be put out by Radical Comics. It stars Tom Cruise and Aaron. How did you pronounce this again? Olga Kurylenko? Kurylenko?
Something like that.
Something like that. Morgan Freeman, Melissa Leo, and Zoe Bell. The film was initially scheduled to be released on July 10th, but since the re-release of Jurassic Park was set for a July 19th release date, the U.S. release date was moved back to April 19th, which apparently the Jurassic Park re-release then changed its date, so this is all a big clusterfuck. According to Kaczynski, Oblivion pays homage to science fiction films of the 1970s. Following an alien invasion 60 years earlier, which nearly destroyed the planet, former Marine Commander Jack Harper, and side tangent here, how many movies has Tom Cruise been in where his character is named Jack? I can think of 3 of them right now.
I think 64.
Legend, his character's name was Jack Reacher, and now Jack in this one. I'd be curious to find that out. Anyway.
That's a really bland tangent, sir.
Well, I'm just...
Next time, put a little bit more anger behind it. How many fucking movies has he been in named Jack?
Yeah, I'm too casual with my tangents. I apologize.
Excellent.
Tom Cruise is one of the few drone mechanics stationed on Earth. He lives in an airborne tower floating thousands of feet above the planet, which he and his colleagues are part of the operation to clean up the remaining forces of the invasion and extract the planet's remaining resources. Nearing the end of his mission, Jack rescues a female stranger from a crashed spaceship. Following her arrival, he's captured by an insurgency led by the mysterious Malcolm Beach, Morgan Freeman, and following a series of events, he's forced to question everything he knows about the invasion and its aftermath. Scotty, in many ways, this reminds me of various video games that I've played in the past, both in its story and in its design. Has that struck you as well, and does that make you more likely to see it, since all you really seem to love are video games?
To be perfectly honest,
Touché.
the first time I saw this trailer, I was on board. It looked fantastic. Granted, I see a lot more trailers than the average person, maybe, because I see a lot more movies and with the podcast, that kind of thing. I am so tired of seeing this trailer. Everywhere I go, no matter what movie I see this trailer. It's advertised on TV way too much. It's starting to feel like, and this is kind of an obscure reference, but the movie Notting Hill. Bear with me one second. The movie Notting Hill was...
we're on bated breath right now. But.
Okay. The movie Notting Hill was about a normal guy that fell in love with an actress. And in the movie, she was in this movie that's set in space, and it was silly and that kind of stuff. That's all I think about every time I see this trailer now. Like just this goofy movie that they don't care, nobody cares about the story. It's just a big actor that's in an action movie that's set in space, and that's all we know.
That logic makes sense, but only in a Scott Clark kind of way.
Yes. I want to like this movie so much, but I'm just not expecting great things from it. I want to go into this and not be disappointed. It just seems like a really good idea that's just going to be very mediocre. That I'm worried it's going to be very mediocre.
Strikes me as a bland Matrix.
Yeah,
that's kind of what I got from the trailer. It's a bland Matrix. I like Tom Cruise. I like him.
I do too.
I like him.
He's got charisma, right?
He does have a charisma, a little bit.
I mean, it just looks like another one where they reveal too many plot points.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Every successive trailer has done that.
Mm-hmm.
Revealed more and more of what the story seems to be, to the point where I do kind of feel like I know what the twist is on this one.
Yeah, he bumps into Morgan Freeman and his people, and they convince him that whatever they're doing is right, and they're being mistreated by all the people up in Spaceland.
I think there's a bigger story to it, but we'll see.
I'm sure there's one or two more plot points, but that just is what it kind of feels like, the general umbrella description.
Whenever they drop a big budget movie like this, I do think it looks interesting. I'm not disputing that. But whenever they drop a big one like this, 2 weeks before the summer season really kicks off, always concerns me as a film goer. But that's only because of how many movies we watch as a group. For me, that says that they're not as confident about it in the summer, which means they don't think this big budget movie is really going to hold. I think it's probably going to be a little bland, based on my history and what I know about it.
I hope not.
I also like the fact that he's, let's just call it probably a 40s-ish, type of guy, but yet Earth went through this battle 60 years ago, but yet he knows all about going to football games and baseball games and that kind of stuff.
Maybe that's part of the plot, Brian. Hello.
Well,
Matrix.
it could be solved as easily as old video clips that they get to watch of the world that once was.
Don't start getting all logical. Brian can't handle that shit.
Well, I think the movie, I love the production design on this.
Looks beautiful.
I think it looks amazing. I think the film itself has a lot of potential. I think that there is a lot of very good reasons to not dump this into the middle of Iron Man 3, Pacific Rim, After Earth, Man of Steel, and every other fucking movie that's coming out this summer. It is chock-a-block with fantastic genre films. I like that they're actually putting this one out a little early because I think it gives it a little bit of breathing room before the rest of these really kick in. Of these two films, though, guys, which one are you most likely to head into the theater and check out? Lords of Salem or Oblivion?
I'll definitely see Oblivion, and I do want it to be great, and I want it to be a hit because Tom Cruise is one of the last remaining movie stars. I don't want him to go away.
Don't go, Jack. Don't go.
Don't go, Jack.
Don't ever let go.
I'll go with the summer blockbuster hors d'oeuvre, Oblivion.
Oh, I see what you did there. I'm with you.
I hope so.
Definitely
Fucking
Oblivion
idiot.
over Lords of Salem, but I'm predicting a flop, honestly.
On Lords of Salem or Oblivion?
On Oblivion.
Oh.
I don't think
Well,
it's flop.
hopefully your vast experiences with movies will hold true on this. And yeah, I'll go with Oblivion too, making it a clean sweep.
All right. Hope pick of the week. Although I'd rather see Evil Dead again. All right. Where you can hear us. Subscribe on iTunes, Zoom, Google Reader while it's still there. Your Stitcher Radio app. Give us a thumbs up if you do, or any RSS feed, as well as RockfordCollegeRadio.com Thursdays from 4 to 6.
What's this movie?
What's this movie? Each week we play ours or a listener suggested clip from a movie, and if you think you know what the clip is, email us at feedback@thehollywoodoutsider.com. Message us on Facebook or a direct message on Twitter at H_outsider, and we'll announce those that got it correct on the air and give you a proper shout out. Last week's answer was Justin's pick, and it was Contact. Contact. A lot of people got it wrong. But those that got it correct, Jesse M., Mr. Anyone, Michael B., and JC. Not to be confused with Jay-Z, it was JC. So congratulations.
JC's not been down to Cuba.
And
Nice.
just so our listeners know, we nailed it pretty quickly.
Oh, yeah.
So-
Yes, that's true. So I guess if you want to be arrogant and show off, then
Yep,
congratulations.
that's me. That's me.
This week it's Scott's turn, so if you think you know what this clip is, email us. Here's your clip.
How the fuck does that make you feel? To be in that position with all your money on the table.
How much you got, Joe?
What?
Total. You put down 80,000 like it didn't matter. That's a lot of money for somebody like you and him. I think it matters.
What's the difference?
I'm a millionaire. That's the difference. I lose 80, I get another 80. For me, it doesn't matter. See, I think it's you who's sweating this. The both of you.
Now let's go to the couch where we talk about TV and home video news. This could be a little complicated, but it's kind of interesting. Aereo is a company that uses antennas to take broadcast signals and stream them to local subscribers with no payments to the networks. Now, broadcast networks are suing them, saying, pay me, and Fox has threatened to become a pay channel if Aereo wins their lawsuit, and CBS is actually considering the same.
Yeah, I mean, at the risk of getting too in depth, like Justin and his tungsten rods in outer space explanations, basically, Aereo has developed these tiny little antennas, and they steal the signal. It's basically what they're doing. I really kind of see both sides of this, because what they're doing is they're stealing the signal, transmitting it to subscribers. That basically right now, the only city it's available in is New York City, but there's like 20 other cities that they're getting ready to launch. So the studios are saying, look, they're stealing it. Mm-hmm. And basically the government is saying right now, they're saying, hey, everybody's got the right to free TV, so get over it.
Yeah, I
they're
didn't
pissed off about it.
Yeah, I didn't read these articles. I was hoping you'd be able to sum it up for me, because I got shit to do. But what they're stealing is the over-the-air broadcasts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what they're stealing is free.
It's free, right?
Now, are they charging people for this service?
Yes, you subscribe to Aereo.
Uh-huh.
So they're making money off it, but they don't pay the networks anything.
Right,
Right.
but what they're stealing is free. That's like if I walk into a store, they've got some free samples, and then I turn around and take a bunch and sell them.
Water company's been doing it for years.
It's fucking free. So they're not losing money. It's not like somebody went into Fox's local affiliate and stole a bunch of office equipment and shit. It's free. All this Aereo seems to be doing is offering that free content in a way that their customers, their consumers, want to get it.
Now, here's
So
a question.
I don't really see what the fuck the issue is.
Does it include the commercials?
Yes.
You would have to assume that it does. So, yeah, the networks, I do not see their point. It's free.
I see the point because Aereo is getting paid. So if they're getting paid...
But what they're saying, they're not stealing anything.
But
It's free.
somebody is getting paid on their product without them getting their cut. A lot of people get upset about that for whatever product they
giving
are.
it away.
Well, they're not giving it away. I mean, advertisers...
They are giving it away. They're paid by the advertisers. Those advertisers, they're not getting their... If they were cutting commercials, I could absolutely see what you're talking about.
Well,
but it is free. It's taking the air signal and free.
I will explain. Local TV stations, okay, they charge whatever the rates are. Networks as well charge for whatever the rates are based on the viewership of that show. Viewership is affected if they don't see ratings for those shows, which affect their ad rates. So they actually do lose money because they're losing viewers to the streaming service that's paying someone else. They don't see those numbers. Make sense?
But okay. So if I've got an antenna on my roof and I'm getting that signal in through my antenna to my television, do they have any idea that my antenna is picking up that signal?
But see, they have Nielsen's to indicate that.
Okay, but if you're a Nielsen, are you also going to be on this Aereo service?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question, Justin. I just work here.
I'm still baffled as to how this is stealing from someone. It's offered for free.
Yeah, that's probably where reading the articles would come in handy.
Oh, shit, boy, you're supposed to inform me. Do the work for me.
There's a whole lot of words there, and I didn't have time to go through all of them.
Yeah, I'll have to check this out in more depth since Brian let me down.
Yeah, I definitely recommend people do it because Fox is actually threatening and saying if they win, they're seriously considering becoming a pay channel.
Good
Which
luck.
should cut your fucking commercials in half.
Jeez.
Would you pay for Fox, Justin?
God, no.
At this point, no. Fox ain't got shit I'm watching.
I'm saying. I think a lot of the reason that people watch that stuff is because it's free. I think you put a paid subscription on that.
Well, I actually pay for it because my DirecTV streams it to me, and local channels is a part of what I'm paying for. So I am paying for free shit.
Fair enough.
All right, let's go to Bates Motel.
God damn it!
Bates
I'm all fired up.
Shut the.
Usually this is Brian getting fucking.
Wow!
Yeah,
Look at
goddamn news.
Yeah. Pull the string.
Shit.
Bates Motel got renewed for season 2. Are you excited, Scott?
I am and I'm not. This is good and bad news for me because, number one, I'm surprised how much I'm loving this show. I was not expecting to like this show whatsoever. A lot more people need to watch this, but I worry about them stretching out the story too much like they did on AMC's The Killing. Because The Killing obviously had an end game with figuring out who the...
You really... I don't see how you compare it. The Killing was boring as hell. I'm not bored yet with Bates Motel.
That's not what I'm talking about. My comparison is that The Killing had an obvious ending. The obvious ending of The Killing was figuring out who killed Rosie Larson. Mm-hmm. Right? This one has an obvious ending, which is the beginning, well, I guess the end of the original Psycho movie. We know where this movie is going. We know where it's going to end up.
Right, but the show is not so much about Norman. It's also about this quirky town. It's really become like a Twin Peaks-ish kind of show.
Kind of, yeah.
I don't see the comparison with The Killing. The Killing story, they stretched it out and they made a stupid ending.
Right, but my worry is with his
decision.
Is many directions as the show is going that they're going to go off on those tangents and it's going to become bigger than its britches, and they're gonna instead of quit while they're ahead, they're gonna keep going on these tangents and making it less interesting, and then make the original movie not as powerful.
Well, then we're just gonna have to see how it plays out. But honestly,
I'm saying that's my worry.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying that's my worry.
Paul Hughes is a producer. He did Lost.
That's true, Justin. Justin, could you say what did he do again? I couldn't quite hear you.
Well, and he also did Briscoe County. He was one of the producers on that as well. My wife is actually watching the first season on this, and she's thoroughly enjoying it. And now that I know it's coming back for a second season, it has now passed my little rule. So at some point here soon, I will begin watching Bates Motel.
Who had that?
The 10 Commandments of Justin.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
You what, Scotty?
Who had 2 months for Justin breaking that rule? That was, I think.
Have I broken it yet?
He hasn't broken it. It just got renewed. Well, actually, you watched that Finest Hour or Last Hour. You watched that. So technically...
I watched the very first pilot episode to see if it was even worth a fuck.
Knowing
I wouldn't continue on unless it got picked up.
But as you told me, they're my rules. I can do whatever the fuck I want with them.
I'm more fully fleshing them out. It's all work in progress. It's organic. With
Breaking Bad winding down, AMC is exploring spinning off the series with Saul, played by Bob Odenkirk. Is this a good move?
You know, it depends on how they handle it. His character of this lawyer is one of the real comedic elements of the show. Anytime he's on the screen, something funny is going to be said. Sometimes it's a little dark in its humor, but sometimes it's a little more broad. If they're going to do it as a comedy, I'm not sure that I want to see the Breaking Bad universe suddenly be funny. I'm hoping that they'll play it a little darker and the people that he's going to be handling on the show. And I would be curious. Of course, I have no idea how ultimately Breaking Bad is going to end, and whether or not the characters in that are going to survive to have little cameos in this show. But I like the actor. I like the role. I'm curious. I'm definitely going to keep my eye out for this one and see what they're going to do with it.
I think it'd be really interesting if they kind of do a backstory, because obviously he's a well-established lawyer in the series, and kind of going on whatever kind of messed up cases he had before he came across Walter White.
And Aaron, I really cannot believe you have not watched Breaking Bad yet.
Nope, haven't seen a single episode.
God.
You will watch fucking Psych,
But
you will not
shut your
watch
whore
one
mouth.
of the best television shows airing,
I am going to watch it once it completes, and it's all on Netflix.
and it's all
summer?
ruined for you.
No, because the only people that would ruin it would be you.
And I will ruin it, because you should have watched it from the beginning.
Sorry. I just, I plan on watching it when it's all available. I just don't feel like getting hooked on another show. I just don't have enough time to add another
You think
one.
you're going to watch 4.5 seasons before this summer?
No, I'm saying when it's all done, then eventually we'll go on Netflix, because all of Breaking Bad goes on Netflix, and then eventually I'll catch up to it.
But
I'm in no
Vince
hurry.
Gilligan, who created Breaking Bad, is creating this as well. So
I'm not knocking it.
They're keeping the same people involved. So it should be good.
I think it sounds like a great show, and I'll get to it eventually. I got enough good shows to
I
watch.
just hope we're not overselling it for you, because it's one of those that...
You can't
No.
oversell Breaking Bad.
No, you can't. But Dingleberry will. He's gonna dump a big bucket of water on it. It's good, but I don't see what the big hoopla is all about.
Well, now I don't even bother watching it. Thanks for my review. All right, Hannibal. Scott and I saw Hannibal. Did either you two Yahoo see it?
You got time for Hannibal, but you ain't got time for one of the best shows ever done in the last.
Has this got a second season yet? Nope. So did I watch it? Nope.
All right. Well, Hannibal's about Will Graham, played by James Darcy, who basically he's recruited by the FBI, Lawrence Fishburne, who's got another job, and he's an empathizer. He empathizes with killers and victims, et cetera, to try to find out who they are, why they kill, etc. And he employs Mr. Hannibal Lecter to assist him. That's really what the series is about. It's a prequel, so it's basically showcasing Hannibal Lecter as he becomes the Hannibal Lecter we know. We saw a few subtle hints in the pilot. Scott, what'd you think of the pilot?
I didn't love it, is what I'm going to say. I thought the guy that played Graham was way too much of an overactor. He was trying so hard to be something that he wasn't. I don't know how. Mads Mikkelsen, am I saying it right? Is that his name?
Yeah.
He was really good. Every scene that he was in was really entertaining, but they took half of the first episode to even show his face or anything with him whatsoever. So as far as a pilot goes, if you want to really grab me with a pilot, show me some stuff with Hannibal. If the series is called Hannibal, show me more Hannibal right off the bat. Not a character that I have no connection with if I haven't seen Red Dragon or Manhunter or anything like that. Give me some more of that. The story just didn't grab me. They did some really interesting things with some of the cinematography at the beginning with the slow motion, that kind of thing. It was pretty cool. Kind of grabbed me a little bit, but after that it just petered off. Also, I didn't like Lawrence Fishburne. I usually like him a lot. I
don't like the guy that did Will Graham at all. I think he's good when he's in the moment and he's empathizing with Hannibal and whatnot. But when he has a one-on-one conversation and Lawrence Fishburne's like, "Hey, you got to be social with people," and he acts like a fucking child and stomps his feet. I don't wanna, that was really ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Mads Mikkelsen, fantastic. I think he's a great Hannibal, even though I can't understand a third of what he says because of his really thick Danish accent.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. I'm fine with that. Focus more on Hannibal. I'll get behind it. I just thought it was just okay.
Yeah,
it didn't blow me away.
I wanted to really like this, and I perfectly said it was just okay.
Mm-hmm. And no spoilers, but Justified. We waited till this week because Justin was catching up on it, but he finally saw the finale for Justified. What did you think of the season? Do you guys like it overall?
The character of Raylan Givens really didn't have as much flesh in this fight as he has in previous seasons, where it was very personal to him. This show, his arc was just a case that really didn't have much to do with him outside of his father's involvement. So I didn't think it was as interesting in that regard, but I did think that Boyd Crowder, his whole story arc, I found much more compelling and interesting and thoroughly enjoyable. Walton Goggins is a fantastic actor, and I think he really got to develop his character more this season, and I enjoyed it immensely.
That guy defines versatility in my mind because I've seen him in probably like 4 different things this year. Every single one of them, he just seems different. Mm-hmm. He doesn't. He's just a great character actor. I really believe that, and he carries it. Now Timothy Olyphant, he's kind of the same guy, and he's great as Raylan Givens, but he's definitely the same guy in a lot of his roles.
The character he played in Deadwood is so far removed from Raylan Givens. I mean, that guy would have shot Raylan Givens in the face.
Oh, now I gotta go watch Deadwood. Damn it. Now that's a show I really want to.
You've never seen Deadwood?
I've seen like the first couple episodes, but I don't remember. I remember McSwearin, whatever the hell his name is, Swearigan, something like
Swearinger.
Yeah, there you go.
Swearingen, but
yeah,
that character was much darker, much more violent than Raylan Givens is.
Well, I thought the season was a little weak because you're right. They seemed very all over the place. The season-long storyline about finding the hidden convict or whatever, that was just I didn't really get into it. But the last episode is probably my favorite episode of the entire series, so it made up for it at the end. But I agree with you. Boyd Crowder's story, much more interesting this season. Brian, what'd you think?
It was all right. I mean, I wouldn't call it one of the best one of the series, but it tied up some ends. It kind of left some things open to where you can kind of go a lot of different directions going forward. So I thought it was a decent. I thought it was a pretty good ending.
The guy who plays the young Marshall, he was in Eurotrip, but Scotty mentioned earlier, which I think is funny. But he actually had a couple things to do in this season, which is kind of new. He's always been kind of the background guy you bring in when you need an extra Marshal, but he had a little more to do too.
I really like his character. I love his kind of tongue-in-cheek, deadpan humor.
Very, very much. And I really liked how they wrapped it up and they're setting things in motion for the next season. I will say it's one of the best series in terms of finales because they almost never do a cliffhanger, which I respect because I don't know when that became like the fad that every series has to do cliffhangers, but I'm so happy that they actually end most of the story. They usually leave you a couple threads hanging, but there's no dramatic, huge cliffhanger. I really respect that. Let's go to DVD and Blu-ray, Scotty.
Whoa.
I'm sorry.
We had one more bit of TV news.
We do?
Well, it actually could fit in TV and in movies.
Okay.
Veronica Mars Kickstarter. It's only got like a couple more days left. Reached $5 million.
Dun, dun, dun. Which was Justin's prediction, as I'm sure.
That was my prediction.
It was.
So, once again, my brilliance shines through.
Let's go to DVD and Blu-ray, Scott.
We're looking at releases for April 16th. First up, we've got the latest Quentin Tarantino film, which is Django Unchained. This is actually...
It's silent.
Thank you, Justin. This is reviewed on episode 74 by Aaron, Justin, and Brian. Aaron gave it a 9 out of 10. Justin gave it a 9 out of 10. And Brian gave it an 8.50 out of 10.
Poser.
Racist. This film stars Christoph Waltz as a German bounty hunter who teams up with a freed slave named Django, played by Jamie Foxx, to free Django's wife from a brutal Mississippi plantation owner. Obviously, it comes highly recommended. That might be the highest overall rating from all 4 of us on that one. So, actually, I didn't.
I don't know. I think the Avengers.
Oh, yeah, Avengers.
They were like 10s across the board.
Got a thorough.
Good call. Good call. Next up was Haunting
That's
in
an industry term, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's technical lingo. Don't worry about it.
Haunting in Connecticut 2, Ghosts of Georgia. A young family moves into an historic home in Georgia. Yes, I said an historic, not a historic. Only to learn that they are not the house's only inhabitants. Soon they find themselves in the presence of a secret rising from underground and threatening to bring down anyone in its path. Save the Date is up next. Sarah begins to confront her shortcomings after she rejects her boyfriend's hasty proposal and soon finds herself in a rebound romance. Meanwhile, her sister Beth is immersed in the details of her own wedding. It sounds like pretty much every other romantic comedy wannabe. I don't know. Dragon. A sinful martial arts expert wants to start a new tranquil life, only to be haunted by a determined detective and his former master. Sounds like every other movie as well. But lastly, Disney's Wings of Life. This is a Meryl Streep narrated documentary
Hell yeah.
that delves into the realm of flowers and their pollinators. If that doesn't run you to if that doesn't run you to the red box, nothing else
Flower
will.
fucking, yeah.
All right.
So a pretty somewhat slow week. Django is probably the only one you want to see, but with that, we'll move on to our newer segment called Recasting the
It's
Classics.
not really newer anymore, man. It's like several months old.
Yeah. Well, it's newer compared to all of our other segments.
That's true.
Justin, can you give us a quick recap of that one more time?
Sure. Recasting the Classics is our segment where one of us hoes offers to another hoe a classic film in which they need to recast 4 of the actors in it with modern actors. You can cast near to the original casting. You can go far off the script. You just have to justify why you cast it the way you did. 2 weeks ago, I gave Aaron the classic Sneakers, and I asked him to recast the characters of Martin Bishop, who is played by Robert Redford, Crease, who is played by Sidney Poitier, Carl, played by River Phoenix, and Cosmo, played by Gandhi. So, Aaron, take her away.
Played by Gandhi?
Yeah.
Oh. Does he have a name? Is that Ben Kingsley?
Yeah, well, he played both. You know, I figure you say one, you say the other.
That's
People
fair
get
enough.
it.
Okay. Well,
Thanks for fucking stepping on my dick, though.
Well, it's always dragging on the floor, man.
Tell me about it.
Martin Bishop, he's a former terrorist in hiding. That was played by Robert Redford, as you said. Morgan Freeman is my choice. That's who I would put in the lead role. I mean, you can't really get any more amazing than him. Crease?
Really? I mean, you don't think he's a little old?
No, because it's my movie. I can make it however old I want. And shut up. Wait till I get to Cosmo. The ages will coincide. It makes sense.
I remember the first time I fired up a computer.
Scott made a joke.
Who the fuck let that guy in?
Crease. I want Lenny James for Crease. Lenny James, you're not familiar with him, but he was a co-star of Jericho. He was The Walking Dead. He's the first guy Rick meets.
Yeah.
And he was just in another recent episode, and he's lost his mind. He's one of those character actors where he pops up in a lot of stuff, but he's so good at playing the calm and cool and authoritative role. I just would like to see him in something a little bigger.
He's also in Game of Thrones, isn't he?
Not that no. It just looks like him. I thought it was him, but it looks like him.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
Carl, I'm going to go a different route. I'm going to make it Carly, and call me maybe. And I'm going to cast Summer Glau. I think Summer Glau could nail that. Summer Glau was River and Serenity and Firefly. That's kind of who I want to pick.
I see what you did there. Mm-hmm. River Phoenix. River.
You got it?
Yeah.
I thought you did. Nice catch. Touche, sir. Cosmo, I want Charles Dance. He's Tywin Lannister from Game of Thrones. That is actually from Game of Thrones. I think he would be fantastic.
Oh, the dude from Last Action Hero.
Who? Charles Dance?
Charles Dance is Tywin Lannister.
It's Tywin Lannister on Game of Thrones.
Yeah, but when he was on the Last Action, when he was on the Last Action Hero, he played the assassin sent after. He had the eyeball that he could change out with like the little smiley face or the reticle.
Oh yeah. Okay, fair enough. That's who I want. That's my cast. Do you have a problem with any of those? Are they okay? They work?
It's all right.
All right. Well, I'm sorry. I can't live up to your standards.
You should put Zac Efron in.
And Scotty, the next time...
Brian's complete recasting of females into Reservoir Dogs.
God, I'll find Anna Kendrick a spot. Scotty, it's your turn. 2 weeks. Want you to recast Terminator 2.
Oh.
Not Terminator 1. Terminator 2, Judgment Day. Oh. I want you to recast the Terminator, Mr. Arnie Schwarzenegger, Sarah Connor, John Connor. Basically, you can't go wrong on this one. Basically, Zac Efron's better than the original actor. And the T-1000, Robert Patrick.
That's going to be rough.
Got it?
Yeah.
I almost went Star Wars, but I figured I can't give that one to you because it's really Justin's, and if I did, I think he would actually cry.
No matter what I picked, he would.
No, I think whatever you tried to do, he would do everything he could to dismantle your entire conversation because he'd be like, "That's mine. That's mine. That's mine." So now let's go to our From the Outside In topic. Okay, seeing Evil Dead twice this week, and both showings, people walked out because of the violence and gore. Actually, a lady I work with, she also walked out because of the violence and gore. We all like.
What fucking movie did they think they were going into? I'm sorry, I just cut you completely
no.
off. What fucking movie did they think they were going to go see?
That was exactly what I said. I'm like,
it's called Evil Dead.
It's called Evil Dead. Did you think it was a Disney film? I don't.
What fucking My Little Pony?
No.
What's up, bro?
Sorry, continue.
Now we all Brony. What's up? Now we all like or love horror films to a degree, but different people love different things in a horror movie. So, what do you guys consider scary, and most importantly, what is too much? Scott.
There's a couple of things that to me are the scariest things in a movie, and I've talked about this before. But number one, any kind of disturbing religious imagery, like in The Exorcist, where you've got demons possessing people, or the Lax Exorcism may not be a great example, but that kind of thing where you've got things that you could almost buy as being realistic, even though it's got some kind of spiritual aspect to it, really kind of freaked me out. Also, any kind of stories or characters that mess with your mind. To me, something that's more psychological is a better horror movie than kind of in-your-face boo scares and gore and that kind of thing. So to me, that's what I like in a scary movie. What about you, Brian?
Anything that seems to be based on something that actually happened. And I know that whenever they use the term based or based on a true story or something to that effect.
Inspired by true events. It happens
Inspired
in
by
space.
true events, right. I mean, it's if you pay attention to the wording, you can kind of get a feel of how much is actually truth and how much of it they go, wow, this one thing in this movie happened, so we're going to build an hour and a half around it. But yeah, I mean, especially some of the supernatural religious stuff, just that really kind of gets to me.
Because you're very religious? You're afraid Jesus is
I
coming for you?
I grew up religious, and I've seen some things that with some of these movies, they kind of
turn you white.
Exactly.
Why you got to bring race into it?
I'm more, I don't know. I think scary is very subjective because we've all, especially myself and Brian and Justin, Scott, I know you grew up in your little sanctity. We grew up on a lot of horror movies, so it's really hard to scare people that have seen a ton of horror movies. It really is. Psychological is about the only thing that really gets to me. Gore doesn't faze me because I grew up with it, so I know it's all effects. It's all that, it's hard for me to distinguish that. But I still get creeped out if it's done right. Recently, Evil Dead and a couple other movies I've seen in the last couple of years have done it well, where you can take gore and actually, make me cringe a little bit. But usually it's going to be psychological that's going to get me on the edge of my seat. Mm-hmm.
I hate psychological movies. For some reason, they do nothing for me.
You're too smart for them.
No, it's not that. It's just the more it actually could happen, the less scary I find it for some reason. And I really can't explain it. People talk all the time about, slasher films that bothered them, or the psycho serial killer films that scare them, and they just don't. It's that realism that doesn't do it for me. As unreligious as I grew up, it's those religiously themed movies that really get under my skin and really bother me. And sometimes it actually makes me wonder, am I just some hidden believer and I'm just not willing to admit it, but these films show it for what it is? I have no idea. But you give me a good Exorcist. When I was a kid, the Hellraiser films, even, The Last Exorcism had some really scary moments. The Paranormal Activity films, anything that involves the supernatural is a lot more likely to scare me. And for some reason, that's what gets me. Is there such a thing as too much? No. Horror is meant to get inside of you and disturb you. If it's not disturbing you, then it's not doing its job. And going too far is exactly what horror needs to do.
I mean, we do have a lot of interesting comments from listeners, and we'll get to those in a little bit. But do you guys ever think that some of the gore does go too far? Because I know what you're saying, that, hey, it's all subjective. If it's too much, it's either doing its job or, watch something else. But have you ever been in a movie where you watch it and then it just comes out of left field where you weren't expecting that because you thought it was a different kind of movie? Or do you usually know it's going to be gory?
I kind of go into it with that expectation. I mean, I research a lot of movies before I see them now. I went into Evil Dead kind of expecting it to be a gore fest, and although it's not for me, I can still appreciate what it's for, but it doesn't bother me the same way that I want to be bothered in a horror movie. Let me give you an example. I'm not one for gratuitous violence in movies. I'm not squeamish. I'm not like going to shy against it or anything like that, but it just doesn't creep me out the same way. An example where gratuitous violence did work for me, really creeped me out, is a movie that your daughter recommended to me to see, actually, which is I Spit on Your
You're
Grave.
welcome. Oh, yeah.
I Spit on Your Grave, not the old one, but the newer one, which might not be considered a horror movie. I don't know.
No, it's a horror
Is
movie.
it horror?
Yeah.
That movie gave me much more creepier feelings because it appeared like realistic instead of stuff in half and goof. I mean, there's a lot of realistic stuff, but that gave me such a creepy, uneasy feeling than something like Evil Dead did, where
Because you know that can't happen.
I know it can't happen. You know what I'm saying? Things where I feel like it can really happen to me, or I could actually physically see this happen in real life, creeps me out more than something that I know is like, okay, I'm watching a movie.
One thing people ask me all the time, because I am a fan of all kinds of horror movies, especially gory ones. Why is gore fun? What's the best answer for that? I've been trying to rack my brain about what is the best answer for why is gore fun?
It's cathartic. We can't experience it in real life.
I get that, but I can't think of a really educated, intelligent way to decipher why watching someone's limb get sawed off is entertaining.
Well, I think it hits the same kind of note that riding a roller coaster does. It's a horrifying thing to happen, but in a very controlled space. And so part of your mind is screaming, but the other part realizes this isn't really going to hurt me. This is not real. So it allows you to kind of enjoy something that in any other circumstance would just terrify you. But, look at the fact of rubbernecking. When people drive past an accident on the road, they stop and they slow down. Why do they slow down? Because they want to see somebody on the ground. And they usually want to see something bad. And, of course, a part of them will be horrified by it. But there's another part of them that's kind of like, that isn't me. That wasn't me that happened to. So I can kind of, look at it and find some sort of visceral entertainment or something from it. As long as it's not happening to us, then we can enjoy it happening to someone else, especially on a big screen. And especially if they're an asshole and got it coming.
Those are the best parts. But usually the gore is happening to, unwitting teenagers who had random
And they got
sex.
it all coming. All teenagers got it coming.
You son of a bitch.
I say as a 40-year-old.
Get
All
off-
you teenagers need to get cut.
Get
That's
off
what I'm
my
saying.
lawn.
Well, that actually brings up a good point, because I want a more recent movie, which was Cabin in the Woods. That's one movie where I don't want to see those people get sliced up and eaten.
Because you cared about them?
I actually cared about those characters. I think that plays a big part in these kind of movies, because in your quote-unquote traditional campy horror slasher flick, you don't give two shits about any of the characters. You're just there, like you mentioned earlier about Evil Dead. They're person 2 and 3 that's going to
Victim 1, Victim
get
2,
done.
Victim 3, Victim 4.
You know what I mean? But when you actually see that and it happens to somebody that you actually care about and want to see, you don't have the same. It doesn't have the same effect to you. It's almost like, that's bad. It's someone that you don't like. It's good.
Well, I think that's sometimes why they have characters do stupid shit. Because, go running out of that house. You got it coming. And so it allows us to kind of justify why we're happy to see them get their head chopped off.
Basically, to kind of get back on the kind of the gore thing, it just, there are certain things that you see somebody get, like, say, getting their arm cut off, or maybe some damage to maybe like a fingernail or something like that, where jamming something in a finger or whatever. There's certain things that we can almost relate to it in a way, but it's on a much larger scale. Everybody's stubbed their toe or maybe their shin, but when maybe even broken a leg or something like that. So when Kathy Bates breaks James Caan's ankle in Misery, that there's a certain, you can kind of on a certain level, people can relate with that, and you feel that oh man, and you feel that in that pit of your stomach where so many good and I guess bad emotions and feelings kind of come from. So I think it's just part of it. It's I guess kind of like you said, like Scott said about the roller coaster. It's that controlled situation that you can be in without actually jumping through it yourself.
I think Justin said that. Don't
No,
steal
no,
his
I'll
thunder.
take credit
Alright,
for
my
it.
bad.
I'll take credit for it.
No,
That's
that's a
okay.
very intelligent thought. We don't want Scott to get credit for that.
My mistake.
The one thing, like torture porn, like movies like Hostel and stuff like that, it's definitely not my flavor. I don't get into it. I think it's just angry for the sake of angry. But a lot of people love that, and I'm not knocking them because I know I like a lot of weird, stupid shit too. I don't. Some people have asked me why are the movies like that fun. I honestly can't answer that one, but I think it's kind of like what Justin said. It's just however your mind works. It's some people have fantasies or they have thoughts, and I wish I could kill my whatever, my boss, my spouse, my friend, whatever. And that's a way for them to release it. That's how normal people would release it, as opposed to going out and actually doing those things.
I don't even think it's necessarily with everybody. It's a mindset like that I want to do those things. It's a lot of a mindset of I want to experience something that I can't in real life. Not because I want to do it, but I want to see it. I want to see things. I want to see as much as possible and experience things that there's no other physical way that I'm ever going to, just because I want to push the envelope and have that experience.
Absolutely. What about quiet scares? Are jump scares legitimate or are they cheap shots? Because for me personally, cats popping up in cupboards and ice machines and air ducts or wherever they are, those shots are cheap shots for me.
Jump scares work for me as long as they actually make me jump. I know that sounds like a silly answer, but it takes a lot for someone like me to really jump at those. The music and sound cues that kind of telegraph them make me feel less tense than the other way around. So when something actually makes me jump, it really gets me excited. And the way that you kind of have to do it is by doing the opposite of what we've kind of been trained to prepare for in a movie. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So that's me. I've never understood the appeal of that because it's one of those things where a jump scare, it works once. It never works again. For you, it doesn't.
For a lot of people. I mean, if you look at historically the Paranormal Activity, just to give them an example, Paranormal Activity, granted, I like those movies. I really like Paranormal Activity. I like to go see them in a theater. I never will watch them again. The DVD sales and Blu-ray sales for those movies are minuscule compared to most movies when they hit home video. Because a lot of people don't buy them because, once you see it, you kind of see it. It's not going to hit you as much. So I don't really understand the appeal to it because I know it's only it feels a little one-time only to me.
Well, those movies are experience movies. I've watched those multiple times on DVD, but only when I'm watching it with someone else that hasn't seen it already. To me, those are movies that I want to see with people and feed off of that experience that they're having because I can never experience it again. That's why I go see those movies in the theater, because I want to feed off of the energy from the crowd, and I want to get as close to that at home as I can.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. All right, what kind of horror movies never ever work for you guys? Like you've seen different versions of these and they just never do anything for you.
Yeah, I mean the horror movies that don't work for me are basically the troll, leprechaun, pumpkinhead type of shit. That was just absolutely horrible.
So basically the 80s.
80s, 90s. Kind of I guess maybe so much monster movies.
You didn't like Pumpkinhead?
No.
That's kind of one of those like little guilty pleasure films, which I don't feel.
I can see
about.
that. I mean, I probably entertained, quote unquote, liking it, and I use that term loosely. But for the most part, I just kind of group it in with those others that are just, maybe they're probably made to be a little campy and stuff. But I just never really liked those kind.
What about you, Justin?
Well, like I said earlier, psychological movies, serial killer movies, the Saw sorts of films, they just don't do anything for me. When I was a kid, I think this, if I would have seen Saw when I was much younger, it probably would have worked more for me. That's back in the day when I liked the Toxic Avenger films. And if you want to talk about gore, I mean, Jesus, those films are really nothing but excuses for smashing heads in half, ripping off limbs, popping eyeballs out. So, and I enjoyed them when I was a kid, but watching them later on in life, they don't hold up that humor, and they actually kind of make me a little disgusted. So maybe it's an age thing. I've kind of moved past the gore for gore's sake. But if you ain't got demons or vampires or some sort of supernatural element, I'm probably not interested.
Mine are exorcism films. They bore
Really?
the ever-loving shit out of me. I don't mean ghost or haunting movies. I kind of enjoy some of those, like Paranormal Activity, Poltergeist. I'm good with those. But the ones where people are possessed and they do nothing but yammer and waiting for a priest to show up, nothing. I'm the only person I know that doesn't care for The Exorcist. So, just never understood the appeal. Minus, you got a little kid fucking herself with a cross. Well, okay, that's pretty interesting. But outside of that, it just bored me. Scotty?
For me, it's the gory slasher films. I know you disagree with me completely on this, but
Well, that's why it's called an opinion.
I don't need it. When there's gore and violence just for the shock factor, it bugs me. Even if it's done artistically, like in the film we talked about earlier. That's just. I want something either deeper with the story or something that's going to mess with my mind instead of mess with my eyes.
Okay. What's the best story about a horror movie you saw in a theater? Anybody got a good one?
What do you mean by a story?
Like
What do you mean by a story about a horror movie?
Well,
I mean, like your experience in the theater?
like you're in a theater and somebody freaked out. What's the best experience?
Oh, that's what you meant.
Yeah.
Okay.
Really, for me, it's the Paranormal Activity movies. I've seen every one of them in a theater, and those experiences have been made better by everyone's kind of communal interaction with that movie and the tension that builds amongst all of us. It's one of the few occasions where the audience does not irritate me and, in fact, works to the betterment of it.
Yeah, I mean, the first one that comes to mind is The Ring.
The Ring.
Yeah, it was actually went after class one day, went with a couple of friends, saw it like at 2:00 in the afternoon. I mean, it was just not even a scary time of day to watch it. Heard a couple of good things about it. Said, hey, let's go give it a shot. We got some time to kill, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And it was one of those things we just kind of all kind of fed off each other. I mean, and that's part of like we mentioned before, comedies and horror movies. You kind of feed off the energy in the room. And yeah, it was just, I remember being just really freaked out by it, and then watched it again and was like, well, it wasn't that good. So
I had the same experience with The Ring. I was sitting with people that I physically saw squirm in their seats during the end of that movie. But for me, the best experience I had, kind of like Justin said, normally I hate watching movies with people that make noises or talk during a movie. But I went and saw The Strangers. Granted, you may not think it's an excellent film, but at the end of the movie, I was sitting next to an African American family, and this one woman, during part of the scene, just out of nowhere, just blurted out, "Stupid white bitch," and I just lost it because it was a severely intense scene in the movie, and as humorous as that was, it made it actually more intense for me at the time
funny.
because it was so funny. It was hilarious.
I saw Hostel in the theater. It's a movie I absolutely loathe, by the way. I really can't stand that movie.
I wasn't a fan of that either.
And a girl threw up in the theater on her boyfriend.
Oh,
The most entertaining thing that happened the entire movie.
They should put that on the poster.
I threw up on my boyfriend. Oh, and the cool part was he didn't want to get up because he was into it.
he wanted to
That's
stay.
commitment.
He
I will sit and puke.
will sit in your bile and yeah.
And puked up popcorn.
He was doing the, and I've seen some parents do that. We're like, I'll get it in a minute kind of thing because he was into the movie. And I'm just like, your girlfriend just threw, or whatever she is, just threw up.
Soon to
on
be
your lap.
ex-girlfriend.
Yeah, soon to be ex. Yeah. and she just ran. Oh God, that's funny. We've got a couple comments from listeners. Kathy McKay said, I love really eerie, spooky, haunted stories. For example, a haunting in Georgia. Or Connecticut, I think is what she meant. The Woman in Black, etc. I hate torture movies like Hostel and the Human Centipede. I also love spoofs like Scary Movie. I like the first Scary Movie. That's where I stop.
Same here.
But kudos. Ashley S. says, I think that for scary movies, it's more subjective for what different people find scary based off of their real-life fears. For example, I have a real phobia of intruders. We'll be coming over later. So The Strangers was terrifying, but other people who don't share my fear could think that movie was garbage. As for what it's going for, not a damn thing. That movie is great. I think it's fantastic. The Strangers? I thought it was great.
I'm glad you did. I thought I was the only one.
No?
Never seen it.
Oh, seriously? It's a really
Yeah,
well
I've never
done.
seen it.
Very well done. Very, very subtle, very psychological. Amanda S. says, not Saw. If you have to base it on gore and blood to scare your audience, you have no creativity to your story. The idea itself should scare you, along with the actors bringing it to life. Fair enough. And there's no wrong answer, by the way. Brad P. says, art is subjective. As long as it isn't hurting someone or breaking laws, nothing should be off limits. So for me, I am a fan of extreme cinema. I like to be challenged. Be very nice to this gentleman. As for what is scary, that's subjective as well. For some people, scary can be mood and tension. Others like something more visceral. That seems to be the common theme. We should call this episode Visceral Hose. Scott M. says, there is no too far. Not everything is made for everyone. I've always been of the opinion that if you don't like it, don't watch it. But don't tell me what I can and can't watch. And horror can be all about violence. Violence and gore is horrific and unsettling. Nothing wrong with that. So, before we get to email, one more thing. Mr. Brian Williams is having a big birthday this week, so we want to all say happy birthday, Hillbilly.
Happy birthday, Hillbilly.
Can we sing it?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Oh,
happy
God.
birthday to you.
Yeehaw! Hillbilly.
Happy birthday to you.
Yeehaw!
Happy birthday, y'all. Happy birthday to you.
You have yourself a nice birthday there, Brian, all right?
Oh, well, thank y'all. Thank y'all very much.
Go to the theater. Now
You'll
let's
be
go.
40, and now your opinion will mean something.
Now we're going to go to emails. Mr. Anyone, by the way, he sent us several clips on Twitter on how to pronounce however you want to say it, like several different versions. So touche, sir. Touche. Justin?
I pronounce it "forgive a shit." All right, we have an email from Benjamin A. He says, hey, guys, so I heard that they did something similar with Looper, where they extended the scenes and shot different footage for a Chinese audience. One reason why they did that was specifically because some of their investors came from China, and it was super cheap to film there, along with the world market deal you spoke of. As unusual as this seems, it's not the first time, and I'm sure with how advanced technology is, it won't be hard to do this with other films in other places in the future. Benjamin A. Next one is from JC. He says, Contact. Carl Sagan in the house. At first I thought it was Inherit the Wind, an old flick about the Scopes monkey trial, recently remade. And by recently, I mean over 10 years ago. Damn, I'm getting old. I feel you.
I've got one from Greg S. Said I just had to write after number 1. You mentioned Hammer from Dr. Horrible. What a great film. I know I'm counting days until the sequel. Thanks for catching that reference. Apparently you're the only one that did. And number 2, after reading my comment about training montages and kidnapped girlfriends, one of you mentioned, this is Scott, by the way, that mentioned it, that the best training montage was Rocky IV. This, 1,000 times, this. As I was listening and heard that part, I actually said, right? Out loud. Keep making that sweet whole magic.
That's so weird hearing people agree with me. I'm not used to it.
We're not used to it either.
I know.
That was another thing that I forgot to mention in the Evil Dead review. They did a couple of times attempt the old Raimi, pulling out of the items and kind of stacking them a couple of times. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was kind of cute.
It was. And Brian, you've got a Twitter. Good luck trying to explain this one.
Junebug on Twitter sent us a couple of videos with the correct pronunciation of a couple of people that we mentioned before. Max Tiriot and Olga Kurilenko. And we'll try to not let Aaron ever pronounce anybody's name ever again.
If it ain't John Smith.
Yeah.
I'll just have to pause. I'll just say name redacted. All right, Scotty.
I've got an email, and it is from Mike B. He says, this week's clip was from Contact. Booyah. Aaron, your clip was an easy one and iconic. Army of Darkness was a no-brainer, but unfortunately, I didn't listen to that episode until it was too late. If there were 4 right answers, my guess is there were only 4 responders. Keep it up, guys. Mike B.
I wish that were true. There were actually 3 wrong answers. And part of me wanted to reply. But, I appreciate you guys listening. Part of me wanted to reply and go, how? How do you get that one wrong? But, hey, not everybody's seen one of the best films of all time. And also, we got a Facebook post from Tom B. He was talking about Bates Motel. Said, if this show existed in a vacuum, how far do you think A&E would take it? I was thinking about this recently. I'm still on the fence with this show, although I am enjoying it more than nearly every other show not on HBO, and I'm reminded of Smallville and their declaration that they would never show Clark Kent in a Superman suit, that it would be strictly a show about Clark Kent becoming the Man of Steel rather than another Lois and Clark. If this show finds the kind of success Smallville was fortunate enough to capture, do you think the station will carry the show through to Norman being the Norman Bates we know from Psycho? I've always been curious about the other bodies in the lake mentioned toward the end of the film. Or do you think they will stretch it indefinitely to avoid possibly trampling on the film? As I replied to him on our Facebook page as well, I think they're going to stop the series. I would assume they're going to stop the series where the film picks up, or where the act that causes Norman to become Norman Bates happens. I don't want to say what that is. Many people have never seen Psycho. What I don't want them to do is to spend however many seasons showing Norman becoming what he's going to become slowly and surely, and then it just something quickly snapped and he becomes that guy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I want there has to be more to the show than just him becoming Norman Bates. There has to be background, which it seems like they're trying to do with the Twin Peaks kind of background of the town. If they continue that, I think it holds up. If they don't, I don't think it will. So that's really dependent on how that works out. That's it for emails. We had a lot of feedback this week, so thanks, guys. We appreciate it. Feel free to keep writing us. Stay through the credits for outtakes. You can always go to thehollywoodoutsider.com, facebook.com/thehollywoodoutsider. Go there, like us. We'll update it as much as we can. Email us at feedback@thehollywoodoutsider.com. Tell your friends. Subscribe on iTunes, Zoom, Google Reader while it lasts. Listen on your Stitcher Radio app or any plain old RSS feed, as well as RockfordCollegeRadio.com Thursdays from 4 to 6. Thanks to each of the podcasters. Scott Clark.
Thanks for having me, Matt, as always.
Thanks for being here. Justin McCumber, who's a Minor Magic, is available now on Amazon Paperback and Kindle. Buy one for Brian.
Yes. Everyone, please send Brian a happy birthday, whether it's a tweet or a Facebook message, or just walk on down the dirt road and knock on the trailer and say, happy birthday, Brian. But he's turning 40. It's a big deal. I know, because I did it a couple of months ago. I'm sure he could use the cheering up, because he has to deal with us dipshits week in and week out, and I know that has to be taxing.
And Brian?
Yeah, just hit me up on Facebook. I'll give you my PayPal account. You can make all donations there.
What about your Amazon wish list? Should we check that?
Absolutely.
Nice.
So,
well, happy birthday.
Appreciate it, guys.
Mm-hmm. And for everybody else, remember the next time that you guys, I know it's a long show, but hopefully it was a good one. The next time you go to a theater, buy popcorn.
Bye, Junebug. I got to say Junebug again.
You need help.
God, let the pros stick to the jokes, will you?
Let us do what you have us on here to do.
Right. Let us do what we get paid for.
Or not.
Can you smell it the rock?
Sandow, the intellectual savior of the masses.
Who knows that? That's above 15.
My kids at school.
Okay.
They're not above 15.
That's kind of what
I work with 10-year-olds all day long. Speaking of.
10-year-olds? Hang on. Let me take my pants off. Is it a private school?
No, it's a public school. Every year, our 5th graders, towards the end of the year, have a...
pregnancy test thing?
No.
Well, look at you knowing your Bible verses. It's pretty good for a segregated town.
And even liked it at a certain point, unlike Satan over there. And I don't mean Justin.
I was about to say, what did I do?
This is the Hollywood Outsider.
Some fucked up shit.
This is the Hollywood Outsider, weekly entertainment podcast. God damn it, fucking...
Podcast?
This is Hollywood...
Excuse me?
Assholes.
That scribbling's getting louder and louder. Motherfucker.
He's carving through the table at this point.
You're about to hear one of the dirtiest jokes you'll ever hear. So if you want to hear it, continue. If you do not or you're easily offended, please turn your listening devices off now.
All right. How do you know when your sister's on her period?
How?
When your dad's cock tastes like blood. I'll work on the delivery, but you got the gist of it.
It's not bad.
I got it. I like it.
Jizz of it.
Oh, zinger!
It's a roll.